Hello. I think today is day 17. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm in my basement again. I know it's not real exciting background or colors, but it's kind of hard. Kids keep me busy. But I might try to do something different. I did have my meditation tent, but it's too cold and I didn't want it to get ruined. But today I was thinking, because my one daughter, actually both of my younger daughters have an issue with, I don't want to say jealousy, but more like, well, hey, she got to do this and she got to do that, like about everything. So if you have kids that are close in age, you understand what I'm talking about. But, and I said to my middle daughter, because the youngest daughter was having an opportunity to do something that she had done previously, and so it was her turn. And I had told her when it happened, when it was her turn, that she needed to remember when her turn was coming up, because she can't complain, because she's going to feel how her sister felt when she got to do something and she didn't. Anyways, so I told her, I said not to be mean, but this is how you grow. This is how you learn, is from understanding your disappointments. If you can't handle disappointment in the simple things, then it's going to be harder to learn how to deal with big disappointments. So in that way, it's kind of like a double lesson for me. Number one, I spoil my kids, and I probably shouldn't. Not, I wouldn't say like tremendous amount, but probably more than is good for them, but at least they know they're loved. I grew up and always wanted my kids to know that they were loved. So anyway, in the lesson, reason why I'm talking today is I kind of was thinking about disappointments I've had. And in the past year, I've kind of been on this huge journey. And there was like this area of my life that really was affected by, and I feel like was diminished by, my self-esteem, regardless of how I got to that point. I'm not going to put blame on everybody or anybody, or how I grew up, or who I was around, or why I felt bad about what I felt bad about. The point was, if you ignore something long enough, that's when the universe, spirit, God, whatever, life in general, I mean, if you want to think about it that way, because I know sometimes people get upset and they're like, well, why does, that doesn't seem like God would put, tragedy in my life, or put things that are hurtful in my life. And I don't think it's so much that. I think it's so much that we miss clues along the way, and things that we can change. There are things that happen that we have no control over and nothing we can do about. And those instances do change us, but it's not our faults. But sometimes there's things that we fail to learn from growing up, or as we get adults, or for certain circumstances, maybe we didn't learn the right way, that I feel like there are things we can do about them, and we keep missing the ball. And then, so eventually something just has to happen. Something has to give in. And then it comes to a point to where it's in your face. And that's kind of where I was last year. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it was something that my life kind of was changed pretty drastically, I would say, in how I felt. It was kind of like something that I always was comfortable with, or something I always felt was one way turned out to be another. And it wasn't anybody else's fault. It was more so I wasn't showing up in the best way I could. So how could I expect other people in my life to show up the best way they could? Or how could I expect other people to have certain opinions about me, or certain behaviors or whatever, if I wasn't putting that effort in? And I feel like for a long time I was just kind of walking through life feeling bad for myself. And then you get into that point to where instead of doing something about it, you just kind of wallow in your self-pity. And I'm not putting down anybody that can't get through that. If you are in that aspect, you really need to get help. And that's why I'm saying sometimes things happen to kind of smack you in the face to kind of get that help. I think we get little hints along the way when it is something that we can change in ourselves. When it's not an outside thing, when it's an inside thing. I think if it's changeable, you get hints and you don't fix it, then something like that happens. And that's kind of where that aspect came for me. So I guess what I'm trying to say in my ADH way is that's kind of the whole purpose of this whole self-love thing. I'm not just doing it, so I feel better about myself. I'm doing it so that way, like, I can be my best self, not just for me, but for my family, for whatever I do in the future, for whatever I'm here for, and for my kids, my husband, everything, and for myself. I think that's why my, and I'm doing ums again if you want to count them, is not so like, self-care, like, oh, today you're gonna love yourself by getting a bubble bath, or today you're gonna love yourself by going shopping. It's more about like an inner deep learning how to love yourself, because I feel like when we have big towers in our lives, that's what that's for. It's to tear down the foundation, because the foundation needs rebuilt. And then, like I said before, after the tower always comes the star. So I'm speaking in tarot terms, but and it's the same thing like within all of us. If something's not right at the core, if you're not right in your foundation, how can you expect to do your best, or whatever you're here for, if you're not strong on the inside? So, long story short, that's kind of like my story without being too in detail, but and it's kind of sad because I feel like for a long time it's like I wasn't really blaming other people, but I felt like my self-loathing, or my how else do I want to say it, see, I'm trying to make excuses for myself, because it's like a martyrdom almost, and I used to like kind of like, I don't want to say be against those type of people, but I would be like, oh, that person's just being a martyr, da 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 da. I was being that way, and I feel like the only person that can help you when you're like that is yourself. So if there's anybody out there that you can't do that for yourself, like I said, go get help or talk to somebody. Talk to God, talk to Spirit, talk to whoever. I feel like a lot of times that's why there's certain parts of our lives and certain timelines in our life where we have spiritual awakenings, because it's like, okay, all right, you didn't do what you're supposed to do at this time, so time to fix it. So we get chances and we just don't take it. So but I feel like in a way I'm kind of getting a second chance at my life, not a different life, it's still my life, because there's still the same people in it, but to enjoy it better, to be more grateful, and just to, I don't know, just be in it more, I guess. So today being 11/11, that's also, it's kind of like a reflection too. So I'm reflecting back on this past year, how I've changed a lot, and how I have a lot more to change still in the future to do. But that's how I'm loving myself today.